everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the Tuesday, April 10, 2018 Board of Selectmen meeting being held before the second day of town meeting in the Lawrence School. We're going to start with open session and discuss or vote motions and reports to town meeting as needed. Mr. Sousa, do you want to start with that amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. At the precinct meetings, the petitioner, Mr. Donald, had presented a revised motion on, I've got to get, 29? Yes, Article 29. And since that motion has been revised and it was not available when the Board of Selectmen took your position, the thought was it merits some discussion this evening under that agenda item. And you know, Town Council Frank Duffy has a copy of that motion. Frank, I don't know if you would care to comment on how you read that?
Well, no, not right now. I just got it, so take a quick look at it.
Okay.
Well, we had originally voted not to indefinitely postpone, so we would be able to change our recommendation potentially tonight, right? Meg?
Correct.
I can just, I'll add what I know I shared with some folks while we were waiting. It's just that I did have a chance to speak to Michael Palmer to just ask what his input was around this article. And my understanding is that with the correction, such as it is now, it would just require the vote to be recorded each time we use our electronic voting. So someone wouldn't have to call for a roll call. Anytime the moderator can't discern whether or not, you know, who has the vote, the yay or nays, and we go to do an electronic vote, it would automatically store it and be able to say, you know, what Megan English Braga, how Megan English Braga voted, and that information would be saved as part of the record for the town meeting, and folks would be able to access it on the website and accordingly. And apparently that's actually a little bit less labor intensive for the clerk to do.
But it would not be, by this motion, as I understand, it would not be displayed that evening. It would only be recorded, it would be recorded, saved, and then available for perusal later.
That's the way that I understand.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
The only tidbit I can add is that I understand from David Vieira that they did, and I think you were there when he mentioned it, that the Rules Committee did consider the amendment and they're still not recommending.
Because they're, I mean, we can hear from someone directly, because they feel it doesn't comply with the rules as they are now? Or?
No, I think it's just a matter of the system is new and let's give it another year and
Right.
a little bit more time. That's as far as I heard of an explanation from David.
You know, and I think that there, you know, as this has come to light, it's a good topic of conversation, but there is a concern among a lot of people that they may feel stifled or that it might take longer, might somehow extend, you know, the meeting a little bit too much, or there are just a lot of unknowns. Those were a couple of the concerns that came about. Sam?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the social pressures that are put on people by whatever tribal constituency they happen to be a part of, when they might actually reflect on something and decide to go against what their peers might otherwise. And you know, the whole idea of every man's vote is his private cast of his position kind of goes against that, because I think that's really underlying this article, is to somehow expose people in the positions that they're taking so that they can be, so social pressure can be brought against them. That kind of bothers me.
It bothers me a little bit, except for that we're representative town meeting.
Right.
And that's in the state legislature, they're representative.
That's a good point.
And voting who I vote for president or for in the secret ballot is different. And that's my one vote. But in some ways, my one vote isn't one vote. It's one vote representing a 27th of the town, my precinct.
I think that's good.
That's a key point.
And so they should have a right to see, well, they can see. What I don't like is if it were shown that night, because then I think there does become, oh, I'm going to see how other people voted and make my vote based on how other people voted. And
Right.
I'm not comfortable with that.
Then it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And I could think it'd take longer.
Right.
As I understand, if I understand correctly, it won't add any more time because it's merely doing exactly what we've done, and it goes into the cloud stored and can later on be looked at,
Correct.
but not even that evening or not the next day. I mean, it'll be,
I'm not even sure the motion specifies that. You know, if it's not nailed down in the amended motion.
right, that's,
That may be still within the realm of, you know, implementation and could be modified as you go. Because I think the technology might be there to do it either way.
right.
Frank, what's your view on the reading that, with respect to the point that Peter just made?
Sorry, I was thinking of something else when you were discussing that point.
Peter, do you want to just,
So, you know, as we see when the voting takes place now, there is a way to show the votes as they scroll through. It doesn't take any more time. And that may be something that some of you, you know, and some town meeting members like or don't like. But there are, you know, when there is a other type of vote, you know, so I guess the example would be when you first come in and it just, it
Shows
lights,
that
yeah, it just shows that you voted. I believe there is an option to color code it to show which way you vote.
Yep.
So I think the technology can do it either way. It's a matter of, you know, how do we want to do it?
and so Frank,
Yeah.
your reading of Mr. Donald's, you know, proposed language to it, which do you see, which way do you see that
Shall be
going?
considered a recorded roll call vote, which sounds to me like it's displaying how people vote.
But could I just, I mean, I feel like this is the technological analog, or whatever we say, to the way that we did a roll
Yeah.
call vote, where you
Exactly.
stood up. So,
Standing, right.
I mean, this actually is a little bit less than that, because in the moment, we probably won't see how someone votes, whereas in the old-fashioned roll call, you stood up and you waited.
No,
This-
you've never seen a recorded roll call vote. We
Okay.
never did a roll call vote.
Did you have to stand up for your name?
You would be called
Okay.
and asked how you vote. I mean, a roll call vote, I never saw in 20 years of town meeting.
Really? Okay.
It was
No,
so
I've never
time
seen
cumbersome.
one either.
You could have a standing vote,
Standing vote,
Right.
okay.
and that was just you stood and they counted, and that's what you have. And that's what the current electronic voting
Does,
is
yeah.
a standing vote. You get a number, you get two numbers, and which one wins. And there is no record ever afterwards, because a roll call would be so.
It would take such a long
Time-consuming.
time.
But now, a roll call vote would take just as long as
Any vote.
any vote.
Right.
And it's, you know, it's worth noting that the old style standing vote, you can look around the room and see who's standing.
Right.
It's not secret.
So I guess
I
I'm
like
using the
that.
wrong terminology, but I
Kind of
guess
miss-
that.
No, I was
that-
just going
yeah.
to Sam's
The
point in
standing vote
terms
is
of, I don't know
actually-
that it's a real big change in terms of.
Exactly.
I withdraw my
The
point.
standing vote was actually only about 10 years old. Before that, it was a hand vote, and people would stand, and they would, you know, you couldn't really tell how people voted. When they went to the standing vote, it really became, yeah, you had to stand up. And people loved it because they got them out of the wooden chairs.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, I think one thing that has to be said with the kind of confusing aspects of even this conversation is that, you know, we appoint committees to vet these things. And so we've had a recommendation from the Rules Committee that's vetted this idea for indefinite postponement, essentially, to not go forward with this idea at this time. So I just think that has to be considered in our decision tonight.
Well,
Frank?
the last time there was a charter review committee, I think it was two charter review committees ago. You very proudly presented the question of creating a Rules and Procedures Committee to resolve exactly these types of questions. So I think whatever this committee can recommend, it should be given some weight.
Well, I would like to move that we voice our support for the concept of the recorded vote when it's done electronically, but really would like the rules and rules
I'd
committee
like
procedure
that.
to review it and report back to the town meeting.
I think that's the appropriate way to do it, because I agree, we've asked these folks, and they really take this very seriously. They put a lot of work into everything that they review along these lines, so.
Right.
But I think it's important to make that statement that we don't oppose that transparency, but that this is the committee that should review. I think it's a
Maybe
great-
we could ask them to speak to it, and who knows, maybe they've now thought about it more and changed their mind too.
I think that certainly David would call them up. I think if we're going to vote to indefinitely postpone, maybe after I make that statement, Doug, you could take on making that explanation
Well,
when the opportunity comes.
What's going to happen is if we have a definite postponement as our motion,
Mhm.
then Malcolm Donald will have a chance to make his main motion. And our
Right.
motion will no longer stand.
True.
We won't even be making that motion.
That's right.
And so then we may not be asked for our opinion, because our opinion is no longer the main, there's another main motion on the floor.
Right,
And
but I'm saying, if we assign the board members certain articles to speak on if they
Right.
would like, and I'm asking if you want that opportunity that comes up.
sure, but I'll be happy to speak for what the board says.
That's all.
I like the way you phrased it.
Yeah, I do too.
Just as a
Yeah.
parallel, I mean, if you go to this State House and the House of Representatives chamber, their names are all up there, and you see exactly how they vote. It's
Right.
displayed, in real time.
And in the paper.
Yeah, and I think that we're saying that we favor that, it's just some of the mechanics
Yep.
that need to be,
I'm not sure, I don't think I favor live time showing of the votes in, and I'm not sure why I feel different about the legislature. I think part of it is the local town politics. I do worry the peer pressure at the moment will change votes, maybe appropriately, maybe inappropriately.
I think it could just slow it down. They have a lot of time in the legislature at the State House. I mean, they have whole sessions that they can, I feel like if people are waiting to see someone else's name come up to see how they vote, do we all make it in the 60 seconds? I don't know, it just seems like a very strange, when you stood up, you didn't get to, everyone stand up. It's, so you can make your
With this
vote.
technology, you can change your mind. You
Yes.
can vote yay, and then say, actually, no, I don't think no. And you can change it
right,
25 times.
got all that time.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Dave said he was gonna vote for this.
Uh,
What he does, yeah. So you're right, that's a distraction.
Does anyone feel ready to make a motion with respect to the updated Article 29?
Sure. I would move indefinite postponement, but with the caveat that
That we secretly supported.
Secret ballot.
It currently says that the town voted indefinite postponement.
Yes,
Right, but there's different motions could be on the floor.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
yeah. I would just
And so
say
then
wait.
you have an opportunity to come in and recommend basically that we follow the advice of the rules committee. And
But that we might be open to it.
well, I think that's saying that,
Yeah.
Then you can add that in.
This is only our second town meeting with these
That's the other thing I'm sure.
mechanisms. So I think that they're probably just waiting to see, work the bugs out, make sure, so I'm sure that that's all.
And what I'm going to ask David is whether the response to the main motion first. And if they're the first ones to respond, I think it could be appropriate saying the Board of Selectmen has voted in support of the concept, but would like the process to move forward with the Rules Committee making their recommendation.
That's exactly it.
So we have a...
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Next, we have to discuss, consider, and vote, oops, that's the wrong meeting, sorry.
That's just out of business, I think.
Just
Madam
out of
Chair.
business, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Please.
on Article 39,
Okay,
the moderator indicated last night that we would have a new main motion.
right,
We will not. The only clarification that, since it was held, the clarification that we can make is the explanation, the last sentence talks about authorizing the town to change the care and control of the property without requiring legislative approval. We are no longer intending to pursue that, and it's not explicitly stated in the text of the article itself. It doesn't specifically say that, so we don't need to amend the article. Just to clarify that the purpose of this article is simply to say we can change who the manager is to manage the farm within the confines of the conservation restriction
Good.
without going to the state legislature.
And are you doing the presentation for that?
Yes.
great.
Sounds
You
manageable.
wouldn't just say manager or managing organization, manager?
It's, whoever holds the lease.
Right.
Right.
Which could be an individual or a not-for-profit or even a for-profit.
Yeah, I'm not going not going to worry too much about the verbiage.
Okay, I
You
just
know,
don't want to restrict us.
Yeah,
Well, it's also, we have to draft the special legislation and we can maybe take care of it then.
right. And the text of the article, Sam, is worded as you suggest. It addresses license and leases. Right, so that's how you're right, that's how the special legislation will be worded.
Yeah, I think that would be a better way to word it, quite honestly, just so everybody's kind of on board.
Anybody want one of these?
Anything else?
Move your turn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thanks.
Great.
Thank you.